What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today we are talking about the OPI Holiday 2022 collection, which is called Jewel Be Bold. And I know it's a little bit early to talk about the holidays, but they did release the collection and I figure I should show you guys so you can decide if you want to buy them. So if you haven't heard of OPI before, they are a very popular mainstream international nail polish brand, and all of their polishes are free, meaning they are free of the big three, the three potentially harmful chemicals that can be found in nail polish. And we've got 15 nail polishes to go over today, so a little bit bigger than their usual collections. And I would say they're mostly shimmer finishes. We've got a little bit of metallics, we've got a couple of chunky full coverage glitters, we have one solitary cream nail polish. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this collection. I'll show you the polishes first, then we'll talk a little bit more about pricing and availability. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I'm using the Orly Bonder base coat. So we'll start off with this shade Snow Holding Back, and it's a super light sheer, almost iridescent pearly finish polish. And let me tell you, OPI does this polish very often. I would say honestly at least once a year, and I will never get tired of it. I love the way that it looks in one coat. I love the way that it looks in two coats. It's this soft, subtle color, but it has so much brightness and depth to it. And especially when the light hits it, I just feel like this is such an elegant manicure. So absolutely love it. Here's what it looks like in two coats. You can still see a touch of visible nail line, but it's softened enough that even if your smile lines aren't perfect, you won't notice that. Next up, we have the shade Merry Ice, and this one is a soft baby pink, almost white shade. And then we have all of these little iridescent glass flecks running throughout. And this one to me was a little reminiscent of their summer collection in terms of formula, where they had all of these slightly sheer polishes that had glass flecks running throughout. And I came into the same issue with this one as I did with that summer collection, which is that it ended up looking a little bit patchy on the nails. I think this would have been perfect in two coats if the formula was just a little bit smoother to work with, but because it was a little bit thicker, it ended up being pretty patchy. So there were some areas that just didn't reach enough opacity and it didn't look great. So I ended up doing a third coat and I think it looked better there, but there was still some areas where it was just a little bit lighter and you could kind of see through to my nail. So I didn't love that. I think it's very pretty in theory, but this one is not for me. Next, we have the shade Pink, Bling, and Be Merry. And this one is an interesting one. It's a little bit on the sheer side and it's this almost reddish base color that has a pink shimmer running throughout. And then in addition to that, they have very sparse golden flecks. So they're really hard to tell, but you can see when the light hits it, there's some parts that glitter a little bit more than others. That's those little tiny golden flecks. So on the first coat, I had a feeling I wasn't gonna like this one, but I ended up thinking it was pretty in two coats. Now I do have short nails, so getting full opacity in two coats, I have a feeling is not going to be a common occurrence for people with longer nails than me. So just something to keep in mind with this shade. Next up, we have a pretty similar shade. This one is called Charmed, I'm sure, and this one is a sort of pinky red base that has a duochrome shimmer in it that mostly looks like a violet purple shade, but it also leans into a little bit of pink. And I thought this was so pretty in the bottle, but on the nails, I did not love it as much. I feel like it showed up a lot more pink on the nails, and I definitely didn't get that beautiful fuchsia kind of color. And this one also was just super sheer. You can see in two coats, it just did not cover up my visible nail. You could still see, especially around the cuticle area, a lot of patchiness. So I did end up having to do a third coat for it, and I really didn't love that because I don't think that this is that unique of a shade that I wouldn't be able to find it in a two coat formula somewhere else. Honestly, I feel like OPI itself has this color in a two coat formula. So I don't love this one either. So now let's move on to a shade that I actually do love. This one is called Bring Out the Big Gems, and it's this really beautiful deep maroon base that has this intense reddish orange duochrome shimmer running throughout, and I absolutely love colors like this. These are the types of shades that carry me through November and that sort of time in between Halloween and the winter winter holidays. It just feels so deep and vampy and beautiful and autumnal, and I just can't get enough of it. It also gave me great opacity in 2 coats. Moving on, we have the shade Sleigh Bells Bling, and this one is a really interesting gold metallic polish. It actually has a little bit of like an orangey coloring to it that almost gives it this like burnt, antiqued kind of gold look. It's not terribly warm, but there's just that hint of orangey that makes it look a little bit unique. Now, I feel like I have a lot of golds, but every time I get a good gold nail polish, I always think to myself that I don't have enough good golds. So I was excited when I saw this one, but it's probably not the most unique color. And then we have the silver counterpart. This one is called Go Big or Go Chrome, and I actually love when OPI does these silver metallic foil polishes as well. I think that that's another type of shade that they do a lot of, and I will always enjoy them. This one looked a little bit sheer in the first coat, and it's kind of funny because it did give me full opacity in 2 coats, but it was so reflective and sparkly that you can see me reflected in it. So I tried to move my hand around so you could see that it was pretty opaque, but it still looks patchy just because of my reflection, so don't mind that. Next up, we have the shade Decked to the Pines, and this one is an absolutely stunning, super soft green metallic polish, and I absolutely love colorful metallic polishes. I have been meaning to do a video on my favorite colorful metallics for so long, and now I'm really glad that I put it off because this shade and the next shade instantly became favorites for me. I love this blue undertoned green. It just feels so soft, it feels so wintry, and it is just absolutely gorgeous on in 2 coats. I can't get enough of it. And then we have the other instant favorite. This one is called Tealing Festive, and this one was cute in the bottle, but on the nail, I actually gasped out loud when I saw it. For starters, it is fully 1 coat coverage on me. I would absolutely just wear this in 1 coat. Now, I do have short nails, but this is a very opaque formula. The color itself is gorgeous. It's this stunning teal metallic foil shade, and it has such a deep coloring to it that shines so beautifully when it's hit with the light, and I just think this is going to be incredible for nail art, but it's also just a perfect festive wintry color. Next up, we have the Pearl of Your Dreams, which, if this is a pun, I absolutely don't get it, so if anybody knows what this means, please let me know. But this one is a super light blue that has these glassy flecks running throughout once again, and this one I could tell immediately was super sheer. 2 coats just did not give me enough coverage. It was still looking, honestly, like I only had 1 coat on my nails, so I did end up doing a 3rd, and I still feel like it was a little bit patchy in that 3rd coat. I think this color is absolutely stunning. I always call this type of shade a Cinderella color, even though I've actually never seen Cinderella before, fun fact. But yeah, I just wish it was a little bit more opaque because it's such a thick formula that I think wearing 4 coats, especially on my short nails, would feel like way too much polish on my nails. And then we have this shade Rhinestone Red-y, which is basically the red version of that beautiful glass fleck, but this one actually had an incredible formula. So we have this really intense red base. Again, we have these glassy flecks in there, and it's so hard to capture them on camera because that base color is just so bold and gorgeous. And this was another super opaque shade. It was almost there in the 1st coat, but 2 coats gave me perfect coverage, and I just feel like this is such a stunning red that has a little extra oomph to it that it just feels like a party on the nails while still keeping it within a classic color. So absolutely love this one. Moving on, we have the shade Feelin Berry Glam, and this is actually the only cream finish polish in the whole collection, and it's a nice deep orchid kind of cream shade, and you can see it's actually really opaque. It has a nice opacity to it. It was almost full coverage in that 1st coat, but I am showing you what it looked like with a 2nd on, and it's a really pretty shade on its own. Honestly, I wasn't 100% sure that it fit within this collection because compared to all the other shades, it feels just a little bit plain to me, but on its own, I think it's stunning. Next up, we have the shade Pop the Baubles, and this one is a really interesting glitter topper. So we have these medium silver hex glitters, and then we have mini gold hex glitters, and it's actually a pretty sparse topper, so it's not too intense on the nail. Now, this is a topper that I think would be perfect for doing glitter gradients. This is also something you can sponge on if you want it to be a little bit more full coverage, but I actually really enjoyed this topper, and I feel like that's going to be an unpopular opinion because I know a lot of people prefer when toppers just are absolutely packed, but I feel like sometimes you just want a little hint of sparkle on your nails without going totally overboard, and I think when you have a formula like this, you can really play around with it. You can also do glitter placement, so I just think this is a really fun one. So the last two shades, as far as I'm aware, are a formula that are pretty new to OPI, and that is this jelly base that has hex glitters in it as well as a shimmer. And this one, I Pink It's Snowing, is this really beautiful, almost fuchsia pink kind of color that has silver, medium, and mini and micro hex glitters as well as a shimmer. And I think this is so much fun in theory, but I think on the nails it kind of got a little bit lost in translation. I didn't totally love how it looked, but I do love the idea of having a new finish, so I appreciate them being funky with it, but I don't know that it worked for me. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think of this one. And the final shade in this collection is OPI OPI'm A Gem, which is not a clever name, but it's cracking me up for some reason. And this is the same formula as I Pink It's Snowing, but when you see this one in the bottle, it looks almost like that multi-chrome oil slick kind of color. We have this black jelly base, and the shimmer within it looks head on like a deep teal that goes into blue, into purple, and even into pink. And then we also have all of those sizes of silver glitters in there as well. And I was so sad to see that that did not translate onto my nails. I think it was a little bit sheer, so it did end up needing 3 coats for full coverage, and you could see the teal in there really nicely, but I feel like I lost a lot of that duo or multi-chrome coloring that it had, and I'm wondering if it's because my nails are just a little bit too short, so that might be it. But I do think that this one ended up looking better on the nails than the pink version, just because it has this depth to it, and that darker color just works a little bit better for the style of polish that they were doing. So here are all of the shades together for a quick little comparison. I didn't realize until I put this comparison together that we really got a lot of these pinky, fuchsia, orchid, and then a little bit of red in there. But I am actually overall pretty pleased with the collection. I think we got a lot of shades that I really enjoyed. Specifically, those metallic foils really spoke to me, and I also appreciate them kind of branching out and trying different types of formulas. I think that's really fun. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in a second, but overall I feel like there were some misses, but I would say this was an enjoyable collection for me. So yeah, those are the polishes, and I really appreciate seeing OPI try a couple of funky different finishes. Even if I don't particularly love them, I just like seeing them step out of what is safe and more mainstream and try something a little bit different, especially because mainstream brands tend to be the most easily accessible. Not everybody can grab an indie nail polish or, you know, even have it shipped to them because a lot of indie brands aren't able to ship internationally. So it is nice to see mainstream brands doing funkier finishes that are more readily accessible to people. So like I said, even if I don't particularly like a finish, I just like seeing them try something new. And I also really appreciated seeing a lot of shimmers and specialty finishes in this collection. I think they have been doing a lot of cream finishes lately, which, don't get me wrong, cream is actually my favorite finish of nail polish, which might come as a surprise to a lot of you. But even so, I do love to see these shimmery kinds of finishes around the holiday season. I just think they feel a little bit elevated and more exciting. So I always get excited when they come out with these holiday sets because I know they're going to be very shimmer heavy. So yeah, overall some hits, a couple of misses, but I did think in general that it was a pretty good collection that they put out. So all of these polishes are available in the usual OPI 15 milliliter bottle. They do have a wide flat brush and it is a straight tip, but I do think that they are pretty easy to work with. I think it's a pretty good beginner brand in general. And these polishes are available wherever you get your OPI. I usually get mine from HB Beauty Bar, which is a nail polish retailer, and there the bottles retail for $9 USD, but you can use the code KELLI to get 22% off your order there. They're also available at Beyond Polish for $8.75 USD, and I also have a discount code there, so you can use the code KELLI to get 10% off your order there. I'll link both down in the description. collection, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think of these polishes. I know some people were disappointed in the fall 2022 collection that they did, so I'm curious to know what you think of this one. Did you like it better? Did you think it was worse? Did you actually like the fall polishes? And maybe you love these ones or you don't love them? Leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. And I have been doing the occasional Thursday video just because there are so many new releases that I want to talk to you about, so stick around for those as well. And if you didn't know, I actually have a podcast too. It's not nail polish related, but it is about nerdy movies and TV shows, so if you're interested in that, I'll also link it in the description. And a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my first royal astronomer Amanda M, as well as my cosmic admirals Rocket Man's daughter Paula, Kenneth, and Rosie. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Amanda, and Amanda wants to know, how many bottles of base coat do you think you go through in a year? Whew, that is tough. I have no idea, but it is a lot. I usually buy my base coats in bulk, and I also do get sent base coats in PR, so I get a lot of them, I buy a lot of them. It's definitely difficult to keep track also because I like to do the method where I'll use a bottle until it's halfway, and then I will save it. I'll start a new bottle, and then once that new bottle is halfway, I'll put the old half bottle into it, so it's like having a new bottle again. So I don't really keep track of when I'm like done with a bottle. I also go through a ton of nail polish remover because I always use base coat underneath my swatches. And I'll actually give you guys a little secondary fun fact in here as well, because this is a question that I get asked a lot. A ton of you ask me why I don't use peel off base coat for my swatch videos, and there is a specific reason for that. When you're using peel off base coat, you do need to wait for the nail polish to fully set before you can peel it off. When I'm showing you guys my swatches, I let the nail polish dry a little bit so you can see what it looks like when it's dry, but it's not dry enough that it's fully set on the nails. I would have to wait like 20-30 minutes between swatches in order to be able to peel it off, and that is just not really time efficient for the amount of swatches I do, because it generally takes me 20 to 30 minutes per swatch, so that would kind of double my time. So I do use regular base coat, and I do use nail polish remover in between each swatch. But I do actually have something very exciting. If you watch my vlog channel, which is just my second behind the scenes YouTube channel, I just recently got this from Orly. It's a giant refill bottle of their Bonder base coat. This is 946 milliliters, which is a lot because their usual bottles are 18 milliliters. So I'm probably going to be using Orly Bonder for the foreseeable future, but I'm curious to see how long this will last me. We'll find out. But yeah, that's it for today's fun fact. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!